The boardroom of Monroe Holdings buzzed with tension. Leather chairs surrounded a long mahogany table, but no one sat comfortably. On one side, Victor Langston, the notoriously precise CEO, kept glancing at the clock. Across from him, 3 suited delegates from Dubai exchanged stiff murmurs in Arabic. And then, disaster struck. The company interpreter, a man named Carl, who had managed dozens of deals, suddenly clutched his chest, stumbled, and dropped to the floor with a thud. Coffee spilled. Chairs scraped and panic surged. "Call medical," someone yelled. Victor stood, eyes wide but controlled. "What happened?" He fainted. "Blood pressure, maybe nerves. But he's out cold." The Dubai team rose from their seats. One of them began to gesture toward the door. "No, wait," Victor said quickly. "Please give us a moment." His assistant leaned close. "Sir, we don't have another French Roboc English interpreter on staff." Victor's jaw clenched. "Find me anyone. Anyone with a real grasp on all 3. "We don't have time to screen," I said. "Find someone, now." Phones rang, staff scattered, and outside. Down the marble hallway, a mop bucket creaked as it rolled toward the future. Before we continue, please do subscribe to my channel. Until now, a man burst from the boardroom doors, phone to his ear. "French, Arabic, English, we need a translator now." "I can help," Maya said quietly. He didn't even glance at her. "Staff only, please." "I'm not just staff. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. Les trois langues. Je suis né pour ça. I can speak all 3. "I was born for this." The man blinked. "Wait right here." Within seconds, he was gone, back through the doors. Maya looked down at her sneakers. Her heart thudded, but her face stayed calm. It had practiced these words in shadows, whispered them while mopping lobbies and scrubbing bathrooms now. The moment had come. She had no resume, no suit. Just language and courage. Victor Langston narrowed his eyes at the girl standing before him. Braided hair, janitor's uniform, badge. "She's a janitor," one executive whispered. "She's my daughter." Came a voice from the back, Maya's mother, who had rushed in. "I don't care if she's the queen's cousin," Victor said coldly. "Can she do this?" Maya spoke again in Arabic, smooth and assured. "I'm ready. There's no time to waste." Then in French, "Je suis prête. Faites-moi confiance." Just univoice. "Ready. Trust me. Just this once." The Dubai delegates perked up, eyebrows raised. One whispered, "She's fluent." Victor looked at the men, then at Maya. He was a man who weighed risks like coins in a scale. But something about her tone, confident, controlled, tilted the balance. "If this goes wrong," he said, "you'll leave the building immediately. No noise, no drama." Maya nodded. Victor motioned toward the conference table. Then, "Speak." And just like that, the janitor's daughter stepped into the fire, mop bucket forgotten behind her. Maya stood between 2 worlds, the icy glares of Monroe executives and the curious eyes of Dubai's delegates. The air was sharp with tension. One delegate asked something softly in Arabic. Maya listened carefully, her brow knit in perfect focus. She turned to Victor. "They want clarification on the tax exemption clause. They believe the wording may breach Emirati law." Victor grunted. "Tell them we followed international tax protocols." Maya translated with grace, adjusting idioms to fit cultural expectations, not just words. She smiled slightly at the end, a touch of respect, a gesture of diplomacy. The delegate nodded. A second man leaned forward, speaking more rapidly, another clause. More technical. Maya's hands didn't shake. Her tone never broke. "Tell him," Victor said, "that the investment is secured under the Ainsley-Simon Amendment." She relayed it perfectly. Then an error. One delegate raised a brow and spoke sharply. The room shifted. Maya paused. Victor froze. "What's wrong?" She breathed in. "He thinks amendment implies legal instability. He needs reassurance." Without waiting, she adjusted her response, reframed it. "Reward." She spoke again. This time, the delegate leaned back and smiled. Victor exhaled for the first time in 10 minutes, and in that moment, the boardroom began to see her not as a janitor's daughter, but as the key to saving their empire. From the mezzanine floor, above the boardroom, a man in his 70s stood watching through tinted glass. His silver hair was combed immaculately, and his dark green eyes followed every motion below with unnerving sharpness. This was Robert Monroe, the elusive founder of Monroe Holdings, now retired, rarely seen, yet still revered. He hadn't planned to come in today. But when he'd heard of the Dubai deal, one of the biggest in the company's history. He couldn't stay away. Old instincts pulled him back like tides. He saw the moment the interpreter collapsed. He saw the janitor girl step forward. And now she stood speaking fluent Arabic. Shifting the tension in the room with nothing but her voice, Robert didn't speak. He didn't move. But inside, a spark flickered. He reached for his phone and dialed a number. Lisa. He said to his longtime secretary, I want a full profile on that girl. The one translating. Ask her. She's not staff. She's a cleaner. I know. That's what worries me and impresses me. Back in the boardroom, Victor Langston found himself watching Maya between responses. He didn't like surprises. And this girl, this child, had thrown his entire negotiation into unfamiliar territory. Yet she hadn't slipped, not once. When the delegates began to smile and nod, Victor took a deeper breath. Maybe she really was born for this. Ask them. He said, if the clause can be adjusted without jeopardizing their internal audit. Maya nodded, translated swiftly, then added a slight elaboration, carefully worded to avoid misunderstanding. The tallest delegate replied, his tone more relaxed. Now, Maya's brow furrowed. She clarified with a soft excuse me, and the man chuckled. Then he repeated. She translated. Victor's lips twitched. It's not quite a smile, but close. He leaned toward his assistant. Get legal on standby. And keep her in the room. She's not certified. I don't care. She's doing better than half the consultants I've paid. For the first time in years, Victor Langston didn't feel in control. And oddly enough, he didn't hate it. Outside the boardroom, a small crowd had gathered in hushed excitement. Secretaries whispered. Interns craned their necks. Even senior managers pretended to walk by more often than necessary, Maya. One woman said, shocked. The janitor's daughter? She's what? 17? Fluent in 3 languages? I heard it myself. Bah. In the break room, her mother sat on a bench, eyes fixed on the closed boardroom doors. Imop leaned. Against the wall, forgotten. Supervisor approached with a clipboard. Is that your girl in there? He asked gently. She nodded, speechless. He rubbed his neck. Should have told her she was gifted. I did, she whispered. No one ever listened. Down the hall, a PR manager was already drafting press responses just in case. This works, she muttered. We're pitching it as diversity, as innovation. Janitor's daughter saves billion-dollar deal. Scold. But not everyone was thrilled in a corner office. Miranda Langston, Victor's niece and head of public relations, stared out the window. Fuming. She made my uncle look weak, she snapped. And now she's a hero? Her assistant blinked. I thought she was impressive. She's a nobody, Miranda hissed. And she's not staying. Inside the boardroom, Maya continued translating with fluid rhythm. Victor spoke. The delegates responded. She carried their words like bridges, never letting one crumble. Finally, the lead delegate stood. We will proceed, he said in English. This young woman has done a remarkable job. Victor rose too. Monroe Holdings, thanks you. They shook hands. Photos were taken. Contracts signed. Maya stepped back quietly, folding her hands. The tallest delegate turned to her and smiled. What is your name? She hesitated, then replied, Maya Elamine. Psh. He nodded. I will remember it. And with that, the delegates exited, satisfied and calm. Victor turned to Maya. For the first time, he extended his hand. Well done. She shook it, stunned. Her gloves were still damp from earlier. He leaned closer. Don't go far. Be speaking again. She walked out of the room. Maya didn't notice the founder still watching from above. But Robert Monroe saw everything, and deep inside, he knew. This girl had just shifted the future of the company. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding, and Maya stepped in quietly. Her hands were still trembling, though her face remained composed. Inside, a few employees were already talking in hushed voices. That's her, someone whispered. The cleaner who speaks Arabic like a diplomat? No way. She's like 18. Kept her eyes low, holding on to the mop handle she had picked up again. She didn't know whether to feel proud or embarrassed. Half of her wanted to disappear. The other half, some brave part she'd long buried, wanted to look every one of them in the eye. But she didn't. Not yet. A young woman near the back, dressed in a sharp navy blazer, caught Maya's eye. You did well in there, she said. Quietly, not unkindly. Don't let them scare you. Maya managed to nod. Before the doors opened, the woman leaned closer and whispered, They're going to test you now. Be ready. And then, she was going to vanish into the crowd before Maya could even ask her name. Miranda Langston's heels clicked sharply as she walked into her office. A modern glass space with icy blue walls and not a hint of warmth. She flung her bag onto the desk and tapped her intercom. Get me legal, PR, and internal compliance. Now. Her assistant stammered over the speaker. Should I add your uncle to the call? No, Miranda snapped. He's already decided she's a prodigy. I need real assessments. She stared at a paused security feed, Maya translating fluently. Calmly, confidently, too confidently. She's not just a janitor's daughter, Miranda muttered. She's hiding something. A few minutes later, her conference call began. I want to know everything about this girl, she said. Background, education, certifications. If she's undocumented or unqualified, we have grounds to revoke. Whatever favor she's earned. But she's not an employee, someone said. Then she shouldn't be in a boardroom, should she? There was a pause. Find the dirt, Miranda said coldly. Everyone has some. Downstairs, the janitor, Mrs. Elamine, was finishing her shift quietly. Her back ached. Her uniform smelled faintly of bleach. But her heart was light. She hadn't dared to look into that room when the doors finally opened. She didn't know what had happened. All she knew was that her daughter had been called into a world where they had always been invisible, just as she finished cleaning the break room. A man in a long dark coat approached her. She stiffened instinctively. I'm Robert Monroe, he said gently, extending a hand. Her eyes widened. The founder, he smiled. I came to thank you. She blinked in confusion for raising her. She said nothing. Words didn't come. I know what it means to be underestimated. And I know what it costs to raise brilliance in silence. A tear welled in her eye. If she's willing, Robert said, I'd like to offer her a position.
But only if you're
comfortable? The janitor swallowed hard, her voice cracking. She's always been ready. The world never was. Robert nodded slowly. Changes now. When Maya returned home that night, she didn't expect much. She wasn't thinking of glory. She wasn't thinking of praise. But on the kitchen table sat a sleek envelope with a gold M embossed at the corner. Inside was a single sheet. Maya Elamine, you are formally invited to intern with Monroe Holdings under the Chairman's Young Talent Program, a role created specifically to foster individuals with exceptional promise. This invitation comes with full scholarship access, mentorship opportunities, placement on projects involving international operations. Your contributions today reminded this company of its founding values. Talent over titles, courage over comfort. Welcome. Robert Monroe. Maya read it twice, then a third time. Her heart pounded. Her fingers trembled. She set it down and looked at her mother, who had been waiting in silence. Mama? She whispered. They're giving me a chance. Her mother didn't speak. She just pulled her daughter into her arms and held her tightly. Outside the city, lights blinked far away. Inside that small apartment, a different light had come alive. Hope, and it burned bright. Maya walked through the polished glass halls of Monroe Holdings. It's no longer in her cleaning uniform, but in a neatly fitted blazer. Borrowed from a cousin? Her shoes still pinched her toes, and the ID badge clipped to her shirt felt heavier than it looked. As she passed, heads turned, some out of curiosity, some out of disdain, some out of calculation. Her desk sat between two established departments: international ops and legal strategy. She was neutral, but everyone knew it was a test. A daily observation of how she handled pressure, scrutiny, and the hidden claws of corporate culture. On her very first morning, someone slipped a note on her desk. It said, "Watch your back. Not everyone likes miracles." Maya folded the note quietly and tucked it into her pocket. Then she got to work, in a glass-walled boardroom above. Miranda Langston watched from a camera feed. She's settling in too well, she muttered too. Herself, arms folded. She's not stumbling. She's observing, calculating. Her assistant looked hesitant. She's been attending early calls, delivering excellent translation notes. And legal flagged no irregularities in her past. She's clean. It's clean, Miranda snapped. No one from her background just walks into this world without messing up. Then her lips curled into a cold smile. Fine. If the usual stress doesn't crack her, we'll let the sharks in, ma'am. Assign her to the Perez acquisition project and leak it to the interns she just replaced. You want them to? Want them to act like interns? The assistant paled. Yes, ma'am. Later that week, Maya found herself surrounded at the copy room. 3 interns, 2 in power suits. One with perfectly styled curls, and an expensive watch stood around her like a wall. So, one said, "You're the janitor's daughter. Everyone's talking about." Maya didn't look up. She focused on the copies sliding out of the machine. Listen, the curly-haired one added. This isn't high school, sweetheart. This is Monroe Holdings. We worked years for this. You just mopped the right floor at the right time. I speak 7 languages, Maya said softly. Oh wow, one scoffed. I can order a croissant in French too. Big deal. She finally turned around, meeting their gaze. If you have a problem, take it up with Robert Monroe. Silence. Fell? You think being close to him protects you? One said. Maya didn't flinch. No. But it reminds me that I don't have to be afraid of you. And with that, she walked away, heart pounding, legs shaky but back straight. That same day, as Maya checked her shared inbox, she found a file with her name on it. She opened it tanned. Her stomach dropped. It was confidential material from the Perez deal, with her name listed as the one who accessed it. Her hands trembled. She hadn't touched that file. She hadn't even been briefed on the project yet. The system logs confirmed it had been opened from her login. She stared at the screen, heart racing. It was a trap. A very, very expensive one. A knock at her desk startled her. It was Miranda Langston. We need to talk, Miranda said icily. Now. Maya sat across from Miranda Langston in a silent, windowless meeting room. There was no polite greeting, no coffee. Just tension so thick you could cut it, Miranda slid the folder across the table. I'm not accusing you yet, but this file was accessed with your credentials. It's proprietary. It wasn't yours to see. Maya's voice came out steady, though her throat burned. I didn't open it. Miranda raised a brow. How convenient. I haven't even been given clearance for the Perez deal yet. And yet the log says otherwise. Miranda leaned forward. Look, Monroe Holdings is generous, but not naive. You've gotten further than anyone expected. Maybe that's made you reckless. Maya didn't reply. You're dismissed for. The day, Miranda said coolly. But no, this your storybook miracle can end as fast as it began. Maya stood slowly. I'd suggest checking which system logged that file, from which terminal. And with that, she left again, shaken, but never broken. That evening, Maya received a text from a number she didn't recognize. Still standing? Adam Monroe, her heart paused. Adam Monroe was Robert's son, chief of innovation, known for his quiet brilliance, an even quieter judgment of people. Why was he texting her? Minutes later, her desk phone rang. Maya? Adam's voice was calm. I saw the audit flags. It just sent me the logs. She blinked. Why are you involved? Because someone's using our servers to mess with you, and that makes them sloppy or stupid. Silence. Also, your janitor uniform is still in the locker room. You forgot to take it home. Yes, smiled despite herself. I guess old habits die hard. The next day, Robert Monroe himself called her in. He listened quietly as she recounted the file tampering. No emotion showed on his face. Then he said, You know, Maya, when I gave you this opportunity, I expected sabotage. This place doesn't run on merit too. Then why give me a chance at all? She asked. Because every storm needs a lightning rod. She frowned. You wanted them to come after me? I wanted to see who would. He leaned back. The wolves always reveal themselves when they smell something pure. Her stomach twisted. You're being watched, but so are they. Afternoon. An internal email leaked anonymously. Attached was a screenshot of Miranda, Langston's assistant, logging into Maya's account from a third-floor terminal. Time-stamped, traced, exposed, within hours. Whispers floated through the office by sunset. Miranda was on leave. The trio of interns were rotated out of the Perez deal, and Maya. She received a quiet visit from Adam Monroe. You still standing? He asked, hands in his pockets. She nodded. Tired? Yes. Scared? She smiled faintly. Not anymore. He offered his hand. Good. Then welcome to real power. The next morning, as Maya entered the building, the marble lobby echoed beneath her quiet heels. She tapped her badge at the elevator. It opened, and there she was, Vanessa Greer, head of international accounts, impeccably dressed, stone-cold face. The kind of executive who could ruin a career with a glance. Miss Thomas, Vanessa said coolly. As the door slid shut, walk with me. Maya nodded, standing tall. As the elevator rose, Vanessa didn't blink. You're making noise? That's dangerous. I didn't plan the drama. No, but you're thriving in it. Men like Robert, they like that? Maya didn't respond. Vanessa leaned closer, voice low and sharp. Be careful, Maya. They make examples of women who rise too fast. Then she smiled. But if you're smart, you'll let me teach you how to survive. Later that day, an envelope appeared on Maya's desk. No name, just gold embossed initials. MH inside was an invitation. Private luncheon, founder suite, 1 p.m. That suite was legendary, only top partners ever stepped foot inside. She climbed the stairs slowly, heart pounding. Inside, the view overlooked the city, and sitting by the window, sipping espresso, was Robert Monroe. He gestured toward the seat across from him. Sit, eat, listen. Maya sat. You survived the wolves, he said. Now I need you to lead the sheep. I don't follow. He leaned in, voice suddenly soft. The company's restructuring. The press doesn't know yet. But I need someone smart, clean, and underestimated. Someone who knows what it's like to be invisible. Maya blinked. Are you promoting me? No, Robert said. I'm changing the game. I'm handing you a team. Within a week, Maya was overseeing a brand new internal unit. All the recruits, quiet talents, overlooked interns, two black analysts who'd been trapped in support roles for years. A neurodivergent coder. A shy researcher with a stutter. The people. The system ignored. Now, the answer to Maya. She walked into their new wing, holding the access cards. I'm not your boss, she said gently. I'm your shield. One of the analysts, Tasha, whispered, You think they'll let this? Last, Maya smiled. I don't care if they do. We'll leave a trail they can't erase. As the sun dipped behind the skyline, Maya received a call. Unlisted number. A woman's voice. Cold, crisp. They won't stop. Who is this? You need to know who really ordered the login fraud. It wasn't Miranda. Maya froze. Then who? There was a pause. Then the name came. Like a knife. Vanessa Greer. Click. Maya stood at the window, city lights flickering below. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. Maya walked into the executive meeting room, her heels silent against the stone floor. She wasn't invited, but Robert had told her to watch, not speak. Behind glass walls, power danced in murmurs. Vanessa Greer stood at the head of the table. Circling slides about budget cuts and regional reshuffling, every word was polished, every number a smokescreen. Maya sat at the edge, noting the way Vanessa avoided the term data breach, calling it minor discrepancies. But her eyes sharp, scanning landed on Maya, a flicker. A warning. Later, as the room emptied, Vanessa brushed past her and muttered low, You're smart, but don't forget who taught you the rules. Later that week, Tasha pulled Maya aside. There's a room. Hidden between the server floors, Maya raised an eyebrow. A room? They say Miranda used it? Private backup drives. Some of her real files might still be there. They waited till midnight. Maya, Tasha, and the young coder Omar slipped. Into the sublevel, behind a vented panel, they found it. A narrow room filled with humming towers and dust-covered hard drives. Omar worked quickly, hands steady. He looked at Maya. You really want to open these? Maya nodded. We're already inside the fire. One of the hard drives contained encrypted folders. Robert's name was there. So was Vanessa's. One folder labeled Project Caro. Held dozens of emails, some fake login trails, IP redirects, forged compliance documents. Tasha gasped. This proves Miranda didn't act alone. There was more. One PDF held meeting minutes dated 6 months ago. It named the mastermind behind the cover-up and the signature at the bottom. V. Greer. They stared at the screen in silence. She pinned it all on Miranda, Maya whispered. And no one looked twice. The next morning, Robert called Maya to his office. She entered quietly. He didn't greet her, just stood staring out at the skyline. I know what you found, he said. Then why let her stay? Maya asked. Because chess isn't about removing pieces. It's about waiting until the king is exposed. Maya remained silent. Vanessa. Has the board rigged? But she thinks you're still a pawn. He turned. Are you? Maya straightened. Not anymore. Robert smiled faintly. Then make your next move count. Maya and her team got to work quietly. Omar created a mirrored drive. Everything from the hidden server was cloned, every timestamp, every forgery, every internal signature. He scrubbed the origin so clean, even the IT head wouldn't know it had been touched. Tasha drafted a mock-up of a press leak. Just a fake layout, but realistic enough to rattle a guilty executive. Maya reviewed every line, every header, her eyes blazing with focus. Then she made the call. Send it to Vanessa. Anonymously. Let's see what she does when the mask starts to crack. 2 hours later, Vanessa stormed into the executive lounge, a printed page in her hand, her fingers trembling. Who saw this? She snapped at her assistant. Ma'am, it came through the secure fax line. She turned to the window, her perfect composure slipping. The headline read, Whistleblower uncovers cover-up in Monroe. Holdings source claims executive fraud at the bottom. Fake journalist signature. Arden Vale. Business Times. It wasn't real. But it felt real. And it was enough. Vanessa picked up her phone, dialed a number. Her voice lowered. We need to meet tonight. Usual place. From a dark hallway, Maya watched her, taped it. That evening, Maya followed Vanessa too. The rooftop bar of an old hotel downtown. Dim lights. No cameras. Vanessa sat in a back booth waiting. A tall man joined her. White hair, navy blazer. Maya didn't recognize him. But Tasha, listening through a mic, gasped. That's Wesley, Robert Monroe's cousin. He handles their offshore accounts. Maya moved closer, pressing her earpiece. Vanessa was whispering urgently. They found something. Someone's digging, and it's pointed at me. Wesley was calm, and throw them off. Use the girl, the new one. Vanessa paused. Maya, he nodded. She's smart, ambitious. That makes her dangerous. Frame her now, Maya's heart. Slammed in her chest, but her voice remained steady into the mic. Record everything. 3 days later, Maya handed the footage to Robert Monroe. He watched in silence, face carved from stone. No emotion, no nods, just quiet. When the screen went black, he looked at her. They were going to ruin you, I know. He stood. I built this company to outlast me, but power turns blood greedy. Maya stepped forward. I don't want a promotion. I want change. Robert studied her. You think you're the one to do it? I think I'm the only one who remembers what it's like to be erased. For the first time, he smiled. Then let's erase everyone. Vanessa entered the boardroom, expecting a quiet quarterly review. What she found instead were 11 board members seated in silence. No coffee, no slides, no smiles. At the far end sat Robert Monroe. Beside him, Maya. Vanessa blinked. What is this? Robert's voice was cool. A presentation. You'll want to sit. She hesitated, but sat. Maya stood and clicked a remote. The screen behind her lit up with a document titled Project Caro Compromised Security and Fraudulent. Certifications gasps filled the room. Vanessa's face turned ice pale. This is slander, she hissed. Maya clicked again. Audio. Played Vanessa's own voice, whispering rooftop confessions. Use the girl. Frame her now. The silence was complete. Robert didn't speak until the presentation ended. Then slowly he stood. Miss Greer has served Monroe Holdings for over a decade, he began. But no one is above the ethics this company claims to uphold. Vanessa rose, shouting now. You can't fire me. I've protected this company for years. While you sat in silence. Robert nodded. And that silence ends now. Turned to the board. A motion to terminate Vanessa Greer effective immediately. All in favor? Hands rose one after another. 10, 11. Vanessa stared in disbelief. Then she laughed, sharp and bitter. You'll be crawling back to me in a year. Robert stared her down. No, Vanessa. The company will finally be standing. Later that day, Maya walked through the halls, staff pausing to smile at her with new respect. Some nodded, a few whispered. Tasha joined her in the elevator. You okay? Maya exhaled. Not really. But I'll fake it till I build something real. When she reached her new office a floor higher than before, Robert was waiting. You earned it, he said simply. She nodded. This desk comes with fire and silence, doesn't it? Mostly silence, he replied. But when you do speak, they'll listen. Maya looked around. The office wasn't just wood and glass. It was proof. She had broken the glass ceiling with her bare hands that evening. Maya received an envelope at home. No return address. Inside, a handwritten note. Miranda didn't deserve what happened. But you made sure she won, even in absence. Keep the fight clean. You've just started, an old friend. Tasha smiled when she saw it. She's watching from somewhere, isn't she? Maya nodded, heart heavy, and she whispered more to herself than anyone. I won't forget. She closed the note and slid it into her drawer, next to her first day. ID badge. Then she turned back to her screen. There was a company to rebuild, and now she had the power to do it. Maya arrived early, not for the power, but for the silence. She stood before the Monroe Holdings seal etched in glass outside the executive wing. Before this, she'd always passed it with lowered eyes. Now she paused, touched. It then walked through. Her new office smelled like lavender and old money. A bouquet sat on her desk with a card. To Maya, the bravest soul we almost lost to shadows. Never dim your light again, HR team. Her eyes softened. She placed the card next to her, framed. Picture of Miranda. She made time that afternoon. A quiet visit to the basement file archive. The same dusty hallway where she had once stood, humiliated as Vanessa threw a folder on the floor for her to pick up. She walked to that exact spot and stood still. Then, she knelt not to pick up anything but to leave something behind. A note, it read, to the next woman they underestimate. You are not here to prove your worth. You are here to lead, change, and restore. They'll try to silence you. Stand louder. She pressed it under a loose tile. Someday, someone would find it and smile. The next department-wide policy shift was surprising. Weekly mental health hours, anonymous reporting lines, ethics training. Flexible hours for single parents, people whispered. Maya's doing this? She didn't correct them. She also renamed the mentorship program, not after herself, after Miranda Lane. Some ghosts shouldn't stay in the shadows, she said in her first open floor address. They remind us who the real builders were. Tasha teared up. So did HR. Even Robert from the back row lowered his gaze with something like respect. Days later, Robert knocked softly on her office door. Maya, he said, sitting down without. Being asked, I've been thinking of stepping down soon, she blinked. Why tell me? Because I want you to be ready, she swallowed. Ready to run Monroe Holdings? He smiled faintly. No, ready to protect it from becoming what? It almost became. Silence stretched between them. Then he stood and held out a folder. There's always a backup file on everyone, even me. She didn't take it. Then maybe it's time we stop keeping dirt in drawers, he laughed. You might just fix this place. No, she said. We'll help others fix it, together. He nodded and walked out, leaving behind the echo of trust and a legacy that was finally shifting. A week later, a woman stood nervously in the lobby. Her blouse was ironed, but the cuffs were frayed. Her shoes didn't match the rest of the building. Her name tag read, Intern J. Morales. She looked lost, overwhelmed, until Maya appeared beside her, offering a warm smile. First day? The girl nodded quickly. I thought I was in the wrong place. You're not, Maya said gently. I know that feeling. Walk with me. They rode the elevator together. When they stepped out, staff across the floor greeted Maya with nods and subtle bows. The intern looked amazed. You're someone important here? Maya chuckled. Not important. Just someone who stayed when it got hard. She handed the girl a small card. When you doubt yourself, remember, someone like you already made it. That weekend, Maya and Tasha visited the cemetery. A quiet corner under a willow tree. Maya placed a white rose on the headstone. Miranda Lane lived fiercely, fought silently. She never got justice, Maya said quietly. Tasha squeezed her hand. No, but she got remembrance, and that's something. They stood in silence. Then Maya whispered, I named the new ethics committee after her. A breeze passed through the leaves like a sigh of approval. Across town, in a smaller office, Vanessa Greer signed the lease to a tour-room consulting firm. The plaque Rishi stared at the sign and laughed darkly. No staff, no driver, just silence. And a stack of rejected emails. She poured herself a cold drink. But it fizzed too fast, spilling over her fingers. She looked at it for a moment, then whispered to herself, well, karma always has great aim. She sipped it bitterly and got back to work. A year had passed. Monroe Holdings. Gala had never felt like this. The room was full, but not just with old money and slick suits. There were teachers, cleaners, interns, single mothers. The speaker list included a deaf programmer Maya had hired, and a refugee intern who now ran the diversity division. Tasha gave the opening speech. Then, Robert, now retired, stepped up to introduce Maya as she walked onto the stage. Applause thundered. She stood tall in a deep navy suit, the Monroe seal. Behind her, I was once a forgotten woman in this company, she began. And now, I remember all the others who still wait for a door to open. She paused. Tonight we don't celebrate titles. We celebrate impact. And for the first time, the Monroe Hall didn't echo with hollow applause. It roared with unity. Weeks after the gala, an exclusive feature went live on a major business news site, The Founder's Wife Who Changed the Company Without Ever Using Her Name. Article traced Maya's journey, from intern to nobody, to insulted coffee girl. To the heart behind Monroe Holdings' cultural rebirth, it revealed a quiet truth. Robert had kept hidden for years. Maya wasn't just a talented woman from humble beginnings. She was the late founder's wife, the very woman Monroe Holdings had once turned its back on. Screenshots flooded social media. Is this real? Wait, she was the wife they iced out? Vanessa's name trended again this time, not with shock, but with national scorn. In the days that followed, Monroe Holdings released a heartfelt video tribute. Clips of Maya's speeches, interviews, staff whose lives she changed, footage of her sitting with janitors, laughing with interns, working late beside accountants. The final frame read, "Sometimes the most powerful leaders start where no one looks." Donations poured into the Miranda Lane Foundation. Job applications tripled. Corporate panels invited Maya to speak. She declined most of them. "I'm not here to be famous," she told Tasha. "I'm here to finish what we started." One breezy Sunday, Maya sat on a park bench. No makeup. Just herself. A young woman sat beside her, watching a child play. She glanced at Maya, then froze. "You're her, right?" "The woman from that video?" Maya smiled faintly. "Depends. She's someone kind. She changed my life. I applied too." "Monroe, after seeing your story, I got the job. It's wonderful. I just wanted to say thank you." The woman stood to leave, then paused. "By the way, what was it like being the founder's wife?" Maya looked up at the sky. "It was like being invisible, till I remembered I could see myself." Inside Monroe's new headquarters, just beside the boardroom, was a wall made of glass tiles, each one etched with a name, not of executives, but of people once overlooked. Miranda, Tasha, Ellis, Janine, the cafeteria staff, junior interns, deaf, coder, a single mom, and in the center, Maya Lane below it, a quote etched forever. They tried to bury her, but she was a seed. The company that once silenced her voice now carried her story as its mission. And in quiet corners, where new interns walked, whispers often passed. "You see her? It's the woman who took a Coke to the face and built a legacy out of it." The end.